Welcome back to A Day with Dre, hosted by yours truly. And today we're going to talk about stupid shit, especially when the shit you argue with your friends about is a reflection of the shit that's going on in society. Excuse my language, but that's just how we're getting down today. But before we get into that, of course, if you could please subscribe to the Day with Dre podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And then, of course, YouTube is the video where you can find the videos. Also available on Reels, TikTok, pretty much wherever you find your brain drain media, you'll find something with a Day with Dre podcast on there. But of course, over here we enlighten and try to provide something helpful. But anyways, let's get into it. So the reason this conversation came up because recently I was in Florida with a group of friends celebrating. And this is a group of friends I've had since undergrad. We lived in the same dorms at 18. Now we're, all 32 roughly years old. So we've been good friends for over a decade. And we're honestly more like brothers. And sometimes family fights. And sometimes you'll fight when it's inappropriate to fight. And we decided to get into and I say we, one of us decided to choose violence this night. We decided to get into a stupid argument at a very nice restaurant, and it just wasn't the right setting for this argument. So if you're new to this podcast and you're just listening, you can't see me. Okay, I'm a Black American man. Me and these people, this friend group, we all congregated to a rural town in the Midwest because we were all student athletes. Some of us were transplants from bigger cities, and some of us were from rural Midwestern towns. You can guess the very small town, rural Midwestern town people were white. Okay, so different cultural backgrounds off the bat. But again, like I alluded to, we were like brothers. We were able to get past some of these differences because you can guess that culturally we had some big differences, which led to different belief systems, right? One of the white guys didn't know any Black people until we were next to him in the dorms in undergraduate, right? That's the kind of situation we're talking about here. Again, not blaming him for the situation he grew up in. In this story, he is the antagonist, okay? So I agree diversity is important in a friend group because I learned a lot about how different people see the world by living around different people, moving to a state and area that was different to me, blah, 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 blah. Fine and dandy. But this argument really irritated me because it is the year 2026. This person has been close with Black people for over a decade. And the argument was, why can't I say nigga when it's in music? And you would think that at this point, that shit just doesn't have to be explained anymore, because not only is he friends with Black people, we are proud, unapologetically Black people. You can bet that we've had conversations about this before. I mean, we lived together for years, right? But it's a decade later. Maybe he needed a refresher. So the conversation turned into, why can't I say nigga when it's, and he didn't say it like that. It was, why can't I say the N word? You guys are saying it all the time. When I'm saying it with the song, I'm not using it in a bad way. So if it's just based on pure logic, no social context, no, historical context at all, that makes sense. You say this, I should be able to say this, right? It's just a word. What does it matter? But the world doesn't work like that. How are we still not understanding that the world doesn't work like that? It's not always that straightforward. It's not, you can't talk about words and sentences and or anything without context in real life. Everything requires context when you're dealing with people. Some things are okay in one context that aren't okay in another context, right? Contextually, if words are words, then you shouldn't have any problem with little kids saying bad words if adults could say bad words because it's just a word. Why does it all of a sudden change the minute you turn 18? Context matters for everything. It's never just as simple as word is always the same no matter who's saying it all the time. There are certain things you can say. If I say, if I'm mad at my mom and I'm saying, I mean, I would never say this, but let's say I was like, oh, my mom's tripping right now. She, she's in a bitchy mood. It's one thing if I say that. If someone that is not related to me, tell me my mom's acting like a bitch, then we're throwing hands, right? It's all about the context of the person using the words. Like you can't talk about my family the same way I talk about my family, right? So sometimes we can use words about each other that other people can't use about us. It's just that simple. Why? There's a whole, there's an entire history, not too distant. So let's not make the word history make it sound like it's so old, of reasons. Lots of books have been written about it, of reasons of why people that aren't black, I'm not even just going to say white people that aren't black shouldn't be using that word. Now, I say shouldn't be using that word. You are an adult that you can say the word, any word that you want to say, but you also have to understand that a large majority, the overwhelming majority of of people are going to give you flack for saying that word. It's the worst word in the English language. That word was used by one group particularly to put down another group. Said group, black people, reclaimed the word, made it our own. And part of the making it our own was we're not going to let them call us this anymore. It's that simple, right? It's not for you anymore. It's for us. We took it back. You can say it, but you might get hands and feet put on you if you say it. And he was not understanding it. It just like he could not comprehend it. And what's funny is there were two other white people at this dinner with us, and they were getting more mad than we, the black people, were, because they were just, it was like secondhand embarrassment. And then we were I was trying to explain that the fact that people can tell you, hey, I don't want you to use this word comes off this way when you use it, even if you don't mean it that way, it's how it comes off. Is just avoid any confusion and don't use it. And you're just still like, no, I should be able to say it. And people wonder, like, when people talk about like white people and their entitlement, this was like the perfect example of that. And it was crazy because it's just like, you're you're my friend. How your friend should just be able to be like, yeah, I just would appreciate it if you didn't do that. And you should just be able to rock with it. At least, like, and he was just like, okay, I'm just going to do it when you're not around. And it's just like, bro, now we want to whoop your ass. Like, cause how did it come to this? You don't even respect us enough to be like, well, let me, not offend them. And it's not even about being like, oh, a word so offensive. Cause like, if he says it, I'm not going to be like, oh, you hurt my feelings by using that word. But what I am going to think is, I told you that word is disrespectful and you're still using it. So you don't respect me as a man. So now I got to put hands on you. That's and you can feel how you want about that. Oh, a word should never result in violence. Well, being a different color shouldn't result in violence, but instead that resulted in hundreds of years of violence that still persists until this day. So we can't live in a shouldn't, if, because that's just not, again, like I said, it's not how the world works. Things just happen that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense that literally my parents, literally me today, we still have certain, we're still discriminated against in certain ways just because of how we look. That shouldn't have to happen, yet it still does. So maybe in a day where those things don't happen anymore and nothing matters anymore, there is no social caste system just based on how you look, then maybe okay, you can sing from the mountaintop, real nigga roll call, and say nigga 157 times in 2 minutes like Ice Cube does or whatever, something ridiculous like that. I digress. Yeah. But yeah, in 2026, we got into an argument at a steakhouse about saying the word nigga. And I'm just like, man, now we look like those people. And of course, we were in Miami. So, like, I'm sure all the people that weren't black watching were just like, yeah, see, like he gets it. Why do they get to say it? And I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Floridians, if you listen to this, don't get offended. But yeah, words matter. It depends on the context. It depends on who's saying it. You can say, you can say bitch, you can say hoe. Go up to strangers and be like, women use those words all the time. Go up to a group of women as a man and use those words. Be like, what, say those words to them and be like, "Oh, but you say the words all the time, so I can't use it to you." And watch what happens. Like, just don't be a fucking idiot. Like, some words just aren't for you to use, and that's that. But the funny thing about this though is like, for a while I was just like, this can't be serious. Like, he has to be trolling because there's no way he truly is going to die on this hill. He just has to be trying to get a reaction out of us because that's the shit he used to do in undergrad. It would just be like, I'm gonna pick this argument, die on this hill because it's getting a reaction and I don't even believe what I'm arguing. But I lost some faith because I really think he really was arguing from the heart. And that really just takes me to the next point that I wanted to talk about. And that's like people that are getting like, this is a thing. People trying to get reactions, but not even for like laughs and clicks, like trying to like the rage baiting shit. This rage baiting is a true thing that is a huge problem. And if you're old like me and didn't know rage baiting, because that's I feel like Gen Z terminology, rage baiting, fucking looks maxing, and all this crazy terminology that it just sounds goofy as hell, but maybe that's what our parents felt like when they heard us say swag instead of saying swagger or something like that. But whatever. Rage baiting. And the one of the more popular rage baiters on the internet is in trouble. And this is an idiot named Chud the Builder. And what Chud the Builder does is he just just listen to this.
You gonna sneak up behind me like y'all like to do? Look at this nigga chimping out. Look at this nigga chimping out.
He literally goes up to groups
That's
of people.
the news team.
Groups of, and it's almost
Y'all
always
know his
black
name
people.
now. Isaiah
And he starts
Ware.
saying crazy shit to them. First of all, saying this dude's name out loud and saying shit to them like, "Oh, you're chimping out," calling them nigger and stuff like that. It's quite literally insane. And his whole thing is like, they act like monkeys, they act like animals. Just a word gets them to react. And the rage baiting tactic works. It works on me because like I see that, and I'm again, I'm not offended that he's saying these words because he's like he's not going to hurt me by saying this. I'm just upset that I'm not the person that he tried to say it to. You can just go around and just being like, "Oh, I have the freedom of speech to say whatever I want," but people truly do not understand what the freedom of speech amendment is even about. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, this dude is walks up to groups of people, black people specifically, yell like not he's not yelling, but he's saying slurs, just trying to get a reaction and just to be like, "Oh, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I can say whatever I want. What are you going to do about it? Try me. I can't." And he starts threatening people. He'd be like, "You come up to me, I'll kill you. I'm going to put a chimp's brains on the pavement." Like just saying crazy shit like that. And you know what? Someone finally tried him and he was getting his ass whooped. And I shouldn't say he was getting his ass whooped, but he was getting beat up. And Mr. Tough Guy that's always going around harassing people, challenging people, decided to shoot him. Now, he didn't kill anybody, but that set the floor for this weird ass psychological phenomenon that's going on right now. Because this is, of course, somehow people are trying to turn this into a right versus left thing, and they're trying to turn this into a attack on freedom of speech. Okay. So man harasses people, calls people crazy ass stuff, and he's doing it to strangers. Said stranger finally snaps, tries to beat him up because again, you're following these people around. You're just yelling obscenities at them, harassing them. Then they react. The same people that are like, "Oh, words, you shouldn't react to words." You tell that same, you tell white people all white people are racist or something like that, and I don't even believe that. But these same groups of people that are like, black people just react to this and black people react to this, call a white person, tell a white person all white people are racist. One of those type of white people, and watch how fast they shrivel up and get mad. And they're, "Oh, you can't call me that. You can't call me that." Like, or say they're being misogynistic or sexist or something like that. And they just get so triggered. But then they're like, you can't, black people should be able to handle a word. It's just a word, a little imaginary make believe thing. And and then like this Chud dude says, they start chimping out. Well, you found the right ones because he started putting hands and feet on you and then you shot his ass. So he got arrested. He's waiting for trial. His bond's been set to like 1.25 million, and people are just like going running with this narrative, right? And I think we're in a psyop, right? Which is like it's a psychological operation. Usually, it's like a government ran program to try to just create all these weird narratives and things that just destroy people. And in my mind, I'm like, there is no way like people that just have any brain at all can see this case and think that this is an attack on freedom of speech. But that's exactly what's happening. So, and people raised over $1 million to bail this guy out and are going to war for this man as an attack on their freedom of speech. When he didn't get arrested for what he was saying, he got arrested because he shot someone. And like, I'm watching in real time. And you could say, well, that's just online, that's not real life. But like this is online has become real life. Like people, the lines have blurred, and that's a sad indictment on society. But that's I'm not here to talk about that part right now. We can talk about that on another episode, but there is no this happens online versus real life anymore. The shit, it's one thing now. Everything that happens in real life somehow ends up on the internet. The way people talk, more people meet their significant other online than they do in real life anymore. There is no more separation of that. So with that being said, this online figure in a heartbeat got $1 million raised for him. And people are trying to say that somehow this happened because of the words he was using. He didn't get arrested because of words. He got arrested because he fucking shot someone. And he's probably going to get charged because you can't go around harassing people and then the minute they finally react because you're harassing them, you just shoot them and say it was self-defense. That's not how it works. You were the instigator. It's so straightforward. This isn't about freedom of speech. He shot someone. And if this was about freedom of speech, this is how you know that racism is still alive and well in this country. He is targeting one specific demographic of people over and over and over and over again. He's not using his freedom of speech to discriminate evenly. He is attacking one demographic of people. Like what is going on with white people? And again, it's not all white people, but what is going on with white people for them to be like, oh, if he was black, he would have got what? You think black people get a like are you black people for if you do for the same crime, not even talking about repeat offenders or anything like that, they always get charged. They get charged at a higher rate and they get served with more time. But again, it's like we live in this post-truth world where facts don't matter. And of course, then you're going to be like, well, they do more crimes. Again, everything needs context. The context here is he's not going to jail for making his videos. He was not arrested for making his videos. Of course, if you're harassing people too much, you're going to get in trouble. And also part of the reason is his bail's $1 million, and they're just like, his bail's $1 million because he was harassing black people and we're too woke now. It's because he's been in trouble for harassing people in other places, but he didn't go to jail. And finally, they're like, you've been harassing people. This is a pattern. And now you've shot someone. It's time for you to settle down. Put that shit at $1 million. And you can't use your crowd funded money to post bail. And like you look at this Twitter account, this Twitter account, this Twitter account, this Twitter account. And again, this no longer like this is just on these are real people, real influential people that are doing this, that are saying things like this. If he would have been black, if he would have been this, if he would have been that, like the anti-blackness is so crazy because he's not doing this shit to he's not doing this to other groups of people. He has this particular beef with this group of people, and he knows he could he knows he could get away with it until he fucked around and found out. And he still might get off with this whole thing. But to be like, oh, this is happening because he said words to black people is insane. All this is happening to him because he fucking shot somebody. And it just really brings me to this point. When did we become a post truth, like large groups of people have probably never had common sense. But when did we become a group of people that could just look at very blatant, obvious wrongdoing and somehow try to turn this into a this is what the woke the woke left is making, that's who's trying to arrest chud. Like, and even that name is so fucking stupid. That's just that Gen Z terminology is just so crazy. Like this is a I have an episode about incel culture, incel ideology, and this is an example of how online is not just online anymore. This is real life. This is happening in the real world. That ideology is what allowed a person like this to be created, and it's so mind-boggling, like how you can sit there and just be like, these people are just living their truth. These people are losers and they want to blame somebody. So they're trying to figure out how black people are somehow the cause of this. White man shoots black person after black person gets mad that he's been harassed by white man. This is all black people's fault. Like the mental gymnastics there are absolutely wild. But yeah, like when I was talking to some people about recording this episode, they were just like, you know, maybe it would just be better if no one said the word. And I was just like, oh, if your brain's not big enough to be like, I shouldn't use this word, but they can use this word, then like if something that simple is too hard for you to grasp, then like I don't want to say anything crazy and be like you don't deserve rights as a human, but like you can't grasp something like that, but you are able to raise children where you're going to have to teach them complicated things, and you can vote, and you can spend money on things, buy things, make important decisions in this world, but something that straightforward doesn't make sense to you. It just really is like, and honestly, if you hear that and got offended by that, then you should feel offended by that because you're a low IQ individual. Like it's just really it's really straightforward that not everything is for everyone, right? I'm not going to ever get mad at um not being able to, what's the what what's a word that the word, so this is kind of happening, it's a much more diet version, but like the word queer, right? When I was a kid, that was a considered a slur, and it can still be used as a slur today, but like that community has taken the word back where it's even in, the LGBTQ, like it's even used like in that sense now. It's not, when I was a kid, it was just exclusively used as a slur. So when I use it, or people that aren't a part of that community use it, it's typically, if they're not using it in allyship or whatever, it's typically seen as a slur. I understand that. So I'm just like, you know what? Word needs to leave that word. They took it back. It's not for me to use. It's not a part of my vocabulary. And I never even used it even when I wasn't using it as a slur, I had no clue what that word meant. And when I was a kid, there used to be this game you would play on the playground called Spear or Smear the Queer when you were playing football. I think about it now as an adult and I'm like, that shit is crazy. But in that context, had nothing to do with people from that community. But I'm not sitting here arguing, being like, no, I should still be able to use that word because when I use it like this, I'm not using it in a derogatory way. I'm talking about a game. Like, no, I can understand things. I'm like, oh, that's a word. That's a bad word. They don't want me to use that word. Therefore, I shouldn't use that word. End of story. Should be that easy, guys. But instead, we want to argue. And all of this, again, this Chud the Builder shit, it's just really what it comes down to is you see how people feel about black people, because it's just like, how dare they should not be able to have that for themselves. We want to use it, and they will die on a hill to be like, they want to be mad at someone. Life's hard. President got us into another war. Shit's still expensive. Can't blame everything on Joe Biden anymore. So they pull out good old faithful. take your anger out on black people. And now it's just like, what? I can't say whatever I want to black people when they defend themselves. I can actually get in trouble for it. That must be a violation of freedom of speech. And you dumb motherfuckers that think that's a violation of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is you can say what you want in the government, the federal government, your state government. It's that so they don't violate your right to say what you want. It doesn't mean that the average Joe walking around can't react to things that you're saying. People, for a group of people that really are obsessed, you like reading the damn Constitution. Actually, people don't actually read shit, but this fallacy of what the Constitution is like foreplay to you. You really don't understand what's in it. You for people that like to use terms like chimping out and all that kind of stuff like that, you really are a group of low individuals. That's where I'll wrap up. I didn't mean to eviscerate people and just make this a personal targeted attack on people, but honestly, I don't give a shit. Those of you that do have brains and are able to have less than elementary level thoughts, appreciate y'all. These other people, there's way more than you think out there, and they're too strong. Be vigilant and keep up the hope. Appreciate it. Peace.